Hi, my name is Nuri Hidayah binti Bahrain. Today I would like to present to you about the impact of global recession to the international economies and the possible solution to integrate international market again in near future. International trade refers to economic transaction of goods and services that are made between two countries. Consumer goods such as television and clothing as well as capital goods like machinery, raw materials and food are among the commodities that are commonly traded. International financial payment, in which the private banking system and the central banks of the trading nation play key roles, promote international trade transactions. International trade and the associated financial transactions are typically carried out to give a nation the commodities it lacks in exchange for the abundant commodities it produces. These transactions, when combined with other economic policies, tend to raise the standard of living in a given country. Global merchandise trade flows declined significantly in 2020 as COVID-19 disrupted economic activity across the globe. Due to numerous restrictions that nations have put in place to stop epidemics, the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic has all but all worldwide economic activity. From the article Baldwin and Freeman in 2020, they say that because of the recent pandemic's impact on global demand, which has sharply fallen, global trade and supply chain have been distorted. This is illustrated for the second half of 2020 when demand and supply were weaker and led to 3.5% decline in global commerce. The worst economic and social crises in history are about to hit the world as a result of this situation. Global commerce independence, connectivity, and density across nations have all dramatically decreased as a result of the pandemic epidemic. The first impact is based on the economy of scale. It is possible that the COVID-19 epidemic will impact both import and export of commodities. One of the early studies on COVID-19 trade consequences, Hayakawa and Munoki in 2021, examined the initial shock trade effect and they discovered negative impact on durable, non-essential goods or those produced by labor-intensive industries, but favorable benefits in those producing goods used in medicine. Both import and export of products may be impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The stay-at-home order reduced shopping options which lowers demand on the supply side. A further reduction in aggregate demand may have resulted from the decline in sales brought on by workplace closures. The consumption rate of goods and imports declines as a result of these reductions. COVID-19, on the other hand, raised demand for food, pharmaceuticals, and items for personal protection like masks and sanitary supplies. Additionally, it might boost interest in goods for teleworking and stay-at-home jobs, for example, laptop computers. On the export front, business operations are halted by workplace closures which cause production activities to be put on hold. The use of infection control measures in factories such as social distance may result in a loss in factory productivity. This element cause a decrease in production output which lower export. Since the global pandemic scenario predicts that China will be the nation most severely impacted by the virus while also damaging other countries, we use it as an illustration to explain how it will affect other countries. Like China's GDP is expected to decrease by 3.7% as a result of the global epidemic. The impact on China worsened with time as the cumulative impact of the shock rise. The supply shock decreased GDP first by reducing employment and capital, which then leads to lower output, export and input as a result of declining production and lower household income. As trade costs rise, the price of a unit of import and export rises, and China's production becomes less competitive as a result of increased exporting costs, higher input costs and a rising price for finishing goods. Since additional inputs are required to transport goods to their users rather than being available for consumption and investment, the rising trade costs reflect the productivity loss. Next is their impact on technology gap. The pandemic has an impact on manufacturers working in a variety of industries, particularly those that are a part of GVCs, and it may lead them to adopt new tactics as they figure out how to combat the epidemic. Adopting new technology is the first strategy. As previously stated, the epidemic reduced both supply and demand. However, this is anticipated to recover eventually. When that occurs, business that invest in technology stand a higher chance of quickly raising production as demand increases. The disruption occurs at a time when the industrial process has experienced fast technical change due to the introduction of automation and robotics, making this conceivable. Because of the pandemic, numerous manufacturers might accelerate the use of new technology. Given that similar behavior has been observed in previous crises, it is not unusual. Therefore, the pandemic may bring about a transformation that is long-lasting for the business. Next is the impact of global recession on economic integration. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted global supply chains, investment desires and purchasing power. It has also changed investor risk appetite and elevated financial volatility and instability. By impending cross-border flows of goods and services, human mobility and financial mobility, these effects may undermine the progress of economic integration. The disruption of the region's supply chain performance is one of the significant effects. The supply and demand of intermediate inputs by factories in China, as well as the outputs of many AMS, have both been negatively impacted by the massive pandemic shock that originated in China. Although to a lesser extent than in China, disruption of manufacturing in Japan and the Republic of Korea wasn't this. The supply side is not the entire picture. Given the high likelihood of a significant global economic crisis, the big negative effect will cause a fast decline in global consumer demands, reinforcing the supply side effect and escalating disruption to the GVCs. As a result, both the regional and global economic supply and demand side have an impact on GVCs. The impact of global recession in investment. Foreign direct investment (FDI) was significantly impacted by the epidemics, with effects seen across all sectors and regions. At the beginning of the epidemic, foreign direct investment sharply decreased totally to less than 1 trillion in 2020. FDI flows may be affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 damage will reduce demand in the host nation and increase the fixed cost of investment. For example, various costs of location and workers. Due to the difficulty in finding new employees and opening new factories, the cost increase in greenfield FDI may be greater than in cross-border merger and acquisition. However, significant damage to the host nation may reduce the value of acquired firms, allowing the fire sale FDI or foreigners buying local businesses for less money. Reduced investment capital could be a detrimental effect of the COVID-19 pandemic intensity in the home country. Additionally, it might encourage FDI outside the country. For instance, businesses might move their export base from their home country to another country in order to keep up production. Due to the lack of truck drivers and port workers caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the COVID-19 mobility limitation decreased the capacity of freight handling, which raised the cost of domestic and international transportation. As a result, businesses can decide to produce abroad and sell those domestically instead of exporting from home. In light of this, the article from Hayakawa, Lee and Park 2022 used quarterly data of bilateral FDI flows from 173 countries to 192 countries from the first quarter of 2019 to the second quarter of 2020 to empirically investigate the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on FDI. In the manufacturing sector, the COVID-19 pandemic significantly harmed greenfield FDI and cross-border M&A in host countries but had no substantial effect on their type of FDI in home countries. The COVID-19 epidemic has negative effect on greenfield FDI in the service sector in both the host and the home countries, but it appears to have little effect on cross-border M&A. Next is their impact in foreign market. The coronavirus pandemic is now beginning to be contained after nearly 2 years, but there is no doubting the tremendous socio-economic toll it has incurred worldwide. Both in rich and developing nations, GDP projections are declining, and the jobless rate is still rising. Some households try to earn more money by trading options on the forex market, which are open around the clock. The market is one of the biggest in the world with daily trades of around 6.6 trillion. Stock market and international security movement have little effect on currency prices because they are not directly related to an economy. Additionally, the market engages in margin trading, allowing investors to roll over their debt while making currency bets with borrowed funds. Due to this characteristic, forex trading may be a good decision during difficult economic times. Compared to other forms of investing, forex trading is somewhat unique. Currency fluctuations are lower than those of stock, bond, and other assets. This is so because the price of currencies is set by the market. Currency volatility will rise during a recession as investors seek out safe, safe haven for their funds. In situations like this, currencies can be quite profitable because there will be a wider difference between the bid and the asking price. This means that if we are attentive, we can make a nice return on our investment. Next is their impact on exchange market. The coronavirus pandemic had a significant impact on the economic, political system and social structures of many nations. Even after the disease has gone, it is anticipated that the influence will still be felt in the future. The financial markets, particularly the foreign currency market, are very responsive to change in the external environment. The pandemic had a severe impact on the real sector of the economy and particular individual industries, and some economies had 25 until 50% declines. The central bank functioned as the first line of defense to stabilize the financial markets and the financial system and to maintain the flow of credit to businesses and individuals, as stated in the annual report of the Bank for International Settlements. The position of the currency on the marketplace will also impact. Both the currencies of the main markets and the emerging countries experience a severe devaluation, while the currencies of developing and emerging market nations rebounded slowly in April 2020 and later. The advanced economies' currencies swiftly regained their market stability. The fiscal and foreign exchange reserve of a nation are seen as buffers for the stability of the financial system and the economy during times of crisis. The stability of the nation currency is maintained by central banks, and foreign reserves are one weapon for market interventions in the event of global economic uncertainty and other external shocks. The possible solution taken to integrate the international market again afterwards is avoid making things worse. The current epidemic has many inevitable costs. Thus, it is even more important to refrain from taking any step that would increase price for businesses and consumers. The most important of this is the necessity to avoid export restriction on necessities like medical equipment and especially food supplies. At the moment, export of necessities and increasingly agricultural and food products are prohibited by more than 60 countries. Government committing not to implement new tariff or trade restrictive measures would be a positive step in fostering confidence and easing burdens. In general, there is a need to stop further escalating trade disputes in order to retain confidence in international markets and cooperation. Now is clearly not the time to add expenses, especially through needless policy uncertainty, as businesses are already being rocked by the demand slump and the lingering uncertainty surrounding the duration and severity of COVID-19 and accompanying containment measures. Tarif impose additional expenses on business and customers, which not only makes life difficult for those already struggling from income loss brought on by the crisis, but also carries the risk of increasing the amount of government aid required to sustain those same business and consumers. So overall for this chapter, learning about international economics can help me to understand how the global economy runs, how asset and trade move across nations, and how monetary interactions operate on a global scale. International economics examines the various forms of economic activity that take place across nations as well as how major world events affect trade and the world economy. It is now crucial to study international economies and comprehend trade patterns, how globalization affects them, as well as ideas like FDI, gains from trade, the balance of payment and relationship between various countries. This is due to the faster integration of global trade and economic activities.